So like with Madara and Kakashi, Itachi Uchiha is also a fan favorite, so a 10 times video is definitely warranted for him. Now, this is going to talk about the 10 times that Itachi Uchiha was the GOAT. And for the criteria for this topic specifically is going to range from a couple different things. It could range from the times where Itachi just came in the clutch in a dire situation, or the times where Itachi just had that aura or that presence about him. So like with my last two videos that I've done in the series, this is just going to be my own personal opinion on these entries. If you don't agree with them or the placements of them specifically, that's totally fine. Just let me know in the comments what you guys think and below, and what moment for you is like the one that just epitomizes Itachi Uchiha the most. If you haven't yet, please like the video and please subscribe to the channel, guys. It really helps me put the video out in the algorithm. It keeps inspiring me to do these types of videos because I really like doing this little series. So if you really like this video, please give it a like and comment below what you feel like your favorite Itachi Uchiha moment is. At number 10, I have Itachi just dropping the other Uchiha clan members in part 1. It's when the 3 Uchiha clan members come to low-key interrogate Itachi about Shisui's death. They tell him the situation, and they show him the suicide note, and they tell him to bring us the Anbu Black Ops to conform an investigation. And before they leave, one of them makes a passive-aggressive comment saying that if Itachi pretty much sweeps us under the rug, they're going to know about it. And we finally see, at this point, that Itachi does have limits of patience. Because before they can even blink, Itachi just rushes and blitzes them and drops them to the ground. And maybe it's the way the voice actor works in the dub, but the way he delivers the lines after he's like, because he says he's like, preconceived notions and, appearances, they're not going to tell you anything. Like, for example, you made the mistake of thinking that I'm a patient man. And then he follows up by saying,
The clan, you overestimate your own abilities with no idea of the depth of my own. And look at you now, groveling in the dirt.
Yeah, I think this one goes hard. I think it's even more so interesting because up until this point, even though we're introduced to Itachi as a villain, he usually has a calm composure about him. And this is the first time we've ever really seen him lose his cool. And even when he's losing his cool, like, he's not like going all ham. He's just, really pissed, and he's just, everyone snaps, So yeah, I think this is a really cool moment. It should be a bit higher, but right now I'm keeping it right here. Number 10 and number 9 could really be switched around, but at number 9 I have right before like Itachi and Sasuke really start to fight in mid Shippuden, like really start to get down to business, and Sasuke stabs the crow clone, I guess, of Itachi, and Itachi has that blood on his mouth, whatever, and he goes to like, you think he's going to like poke Sasuke like he always did, and then he just points his finger to the side, and there the real Itachi, or quote unquote the real Itachi, is just sitting there with his hand out of his jacket. And yeah, I mean, that just kind of epitomizes the aura of Itachi. Yeah, I don't think too much more needs to be said other than the fact that it maybe could be placed higher, but right now I'm gonna keep it here as well. At number 8, I have Itachi's first Tsukuyomi ever, and this one kind of hurts because it's against my boy Kakashi, but there's no denying like how much aura Itachi had in this moment specifically, because we had never seen, because genjutsu's been a thing that's like been off and on at this point. It hasn't been used too much, but when it has been, it's pretty goated. But this was like, I don't know, it blew my mind. The entire concept, I couldn't wrap my brain around it. The first time I heard it or saw it or read it, like literally like the longest, like it's not even 3 days, it's like triple that, but in the amount of 3 days, because all that stabbing in that scene in the anime, and then only 1 single second had passed. It blew my mind. I'm like, Kakashi has to deal with this for who knows how long, and in just a picosecond in the real world. So yeah, like I think, and when I first read it or watched it on the anime, I was just like, I feel like it took forever just watching it. So yeah, to see that for the first time was really, really crazy to me, and I think it just established Itachi as like a mainstay tyrant in the series. Up at number 7, I have Itachi's first Amaterasu ever. So kind of following up this first Tsukuyomi with this first Amaterasu. And obviously we weren't like privy to what it was specifically when we first saw it, but we saw that it was enough to impress Jiraiya, and Kisame seemed like Kisame thought it was it for them. He thought they were done for, and Itachi just, you know, boop. The Jiraiya was shocked, like he did the impossible. And I mean, Black Flames is always cool. So like coming off of the first Tsukuyomi, the fact that he's an Uchiha, the fact that he's a Sharingan master, and then you find out he has something that's like Black Flames. I mean, come on. Up at number 6, I have his fight with Sasuke again in Mid Shippuden, but later on in the fight, when Itachi survives what is probably the most insane jutsu I had seen up to that point, and still one of the most insane jutsu I've seen still to this day, which was Kirin. And like just the way that Zetsu explains it, where he's like, yeah, like the speed of lightning is 1/1000th of a second, it's faster than sound, ain't no way Itachi's dodging it. And like Black Zetsu seemed pretty convinced that it was it for Itachi, and quite frankly, I might have, like, obviously Itachi's not going to go out just like that, although if he did go out, I mean, what a way to go out, being taken out by a lightning dragon. You think there's like a brief little second where, you know, Sasuke is like breathing a sigh of relief, and then all of a sudden the screen goes black and he's like,
"Is this the death you had imagined for me?"
I was like, oh my god, this man is, not only is this man still alive, he's now summoning a giant ethereal armored-like structure. Oh my god, I couldn't believe it, and honestly, that line he has still gives me chills to this day. At number 5, I have Itachi pulling a reverse Uno on Orochimaru. Now, this is a flashback, so, I mean, but it still counts. I mean, come on. Because at this point, you know, prior, we were convinced that Orochimaru is, like, really on a godlike. And even though Orochimaru self-admitted that he was weaker than Itachi, we weren't really shown, like, how inferior Orochimaru was to Itachi until this moment. Especially in the anime where, like, you know, Orochimaru kind of pulls, like, you know, 180 on him, like, out on the spot, and Itachi's like, whoa, what's happening? And immediately, like, Itachi's not even, like, phased in the slightest. He's like, okay, well, now we're doing this. And he's like, you know what the problem, like, you know what your problem is? Your greed. And then immediately he puts him in a paralysis genjutsu. And even Orochimaru's got to admit, like, the clout that Itachi's got. He's like, dang, this visual prowess is magnificent. And then he does like little tongue licking thing or whatever. But yeah, yeah, especially again, we consider like how strong Orochimaru is, even without his arms, how much of a threat he is. And then all Itachi has to do is just look at the man, and he's done for. Backpacking off Orochimaru, and I just put this entry on because I think it's kind of funny. But in the mid fight between Sasuke and Itachi in Mid Shippuden, where you know, Orochimaru comes out on the 8-headed serpent, we're meant to think that, especially when Itachi is like, even though he has a Susanoo out, it kind of does look like Itachi's on his last legs. And so for Orochimaru to come out with the 8-headed serpent thing, we're kind of like maybe led to believe that Itachi might have a tough time. But then Itachi just proceeds to just chop right through all the snake heads. And before he even really stabs and seals Orochimaru, Itachi's already like, okay, so what are you gonna do now, Sasuke? And then bam, he seals Orochimaru. And Orochimaru was like all laughing and stuff. He's like, okay. He's like, now what are you gonna do? Do you think this little stab's gonna be able to kill me? And then, you know, it's game over for Orochimaru. And then Orochimaru realizes what he actually stabbed him with. And he's like, oh crap. He's like, dang gummit. He's like, you had it all along. And yeah, I just think it's kind of funny because Orochimaru came out of there and thought he was really gonna clean house, and then he just gets taken right off the field. So at number 3, I have Itachi undoing the Edo Tensei by putting Kabuto in Izanami, and this one kind of blew my mind because I didn't even realize what was happening until we were actually told what was happening, which is kind of like, you know, the whole point of the scene is like we're meant to kind of like feel like we're like Kabuto, where this whole scene is being replayed over and over until we finally realize that you put him in a genjutsu that's you can't escape from, you know, at least, you know, unless you know, accept your true self, you know. So which was cool, you know. And like a lot of people kind of hate this moment in regards to, it feels like the victory wasn't earned because Izanami just feels like this super insta kill move that was kind of pulled out of thin air. just to be able to beat Kabuto to undo the Edo Tensei. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like if anybody can set this kind of plan up, it's Itachi, right? And so I really like this scene. I thought it was a really good moment, especially when like you finally realize what had happened. You're like, oh crap, like, oh, okay, that is. You're thinking, just like, when did that happen? Like, and like leave it to Itachi to pull that something like that off, you know. So I like this moment, and obviously in terms of the story, it's a big deal because he just pretty much single-handedly won the war, you know, almost. And so yeah, I mean, even Onoki says like, whoever did this is a hero who saved the ninja world. So yeah, I think it should be on this list for sure. At number 2, I have Itachi's reverse talk no jutsu with Naruto. Now, we all know Itachi is a man of many words, smart words, philosophical words, but this right here is like the definition of how intelligent Itachi is when it comes to philosophy. Talk no jutsu is pretty much a running joke at this point. You know, it's a really good running joke. There's a lot of good talk no jutsu moments, but this one is arguably the best because it's a reverse one on Naruto. Naruto thinks he can settle the war all by himself because he has power now. And Itachi is, of course, just sit down. I got to give you a lesson real quick and be like, look, the more power you get, the more conceited you'll be. And eventually you'll become just like Madara, which I think that was actually smart of him to do, to name drop Madara as a comparison, because for Naruto, Madara is everything that's wrong with the world. And to hear that he's even remotely on the track of being like him, it really does make Naruto take a step back and like reevaluate his things, reevaluate his friends, the fact that he can't do everything on his own. And as a matter of fact, this is exactly what led to Sasuke's fall from grace. So I think Itachi doing this is really what you could say saves the future, because Naruto, the more power he's going to get, the more conceited he might be. And Itachi's just like, look, remember your friends. Don't forget them. Make sure you don't try to do everything on your own. So yeah, I mean, come on. So before I say my number 1, I'll list some honorable mentions and, you know, let you guys decide if you feel like they should have been on this list or if they are pretty good as honorable mentions or whatnot. I'll just show them and then I'll say what number 1 is.
Corner 9. That one's the Shadow Clone. Good, you're back now.
All right. Let's end this!
Genjutsu of that level doesn't work on me.
Okay, so at this point, number 1 should be pretty obvious, but just in case there are who are maybe unsure. So the Edo Tensei, for the longest time, is this like revolutionary jutsu that can't be beaten. Kabuto has been bragging about it all of the early war arcs, saying that like, even if you kill the caster, you know, you can't stop this jutsu. Like, I'm in control of the war now. I'm the second stage of the 6th path. And here comes Itachi, out of nowhere, completely surprising Kabuto by finding him, by pinpointing his location. And he comes in and tells him, like, you think this jutsu is unbeatable. You think this jutsu is invincible. It makes you a god. But what you fail to realize is that this jutsu does have one weakness, one flaw. And Kabuto's like, oh, is that so? Like, well, could you tell me for, you know, future reference? He's like, this jutsu has one weakness.
Every jutsu has a weakness. This jutsu's weakness and risk is simply me.
Bro, come on. Like, the thumbnail should have tipped you off. You don't get much more aura than that.